I would like, first of all, to thank the organizers of this conference for inviting me here to talk about free and open source software in Arabic perspective. And I would like to start my presentation with a definition. Coming from an academia, we like to do definitions. Free software, or free and open source software, according to the definition from Wikipedia, it can be used, studied, and modified without restrictions, which can be copied and redistributed in modified or unmodified form, either without restriction or with minimal restrictions, only to ensure that further recipients can also do these things, and that manufacturers of consumer-facing hardware allow user modifications to their hardware. Well, the definition, as you can see, according to Wikipedia, does not mention anything about cost. Well, true, most of open source software today are free, but not necessarily. That's not part of the definition. There's been some discussions about that a minute ago. And I would like to take the example that Raoul from UNDP mentioned, that a bottle of water is, if you want to reproduce it, you have to, it's going to cost the same thing, right? I think that's what I understood. Well, in software, it's a little bit different. But let me talk about a small analogy. If I have a bottle of water, and you, one of you has only a bottle of water, and we exchange bottles, okay? I will still have one, and you will still have one. But now if I have an idea, and one of you has an idea, and if we exchange ideas, then each one of us will have two ideas. Well, this is the spirit of sharing software, because software is intangible. Software is like ideas. You build upon, and you create better software, because that's where innovation comes from, by accumulating ideas. As you can see, software has zero cost of reproduction, but that's not about only the cost. It's also about the community spirit, the sharing spirit, and the innovation. So free software, as defined by Richard Stallman, the Free Software Foundation president, is a matter of liberty, not price. Free as in speech, not free as in food or beer. So it's the freedom to run, copy, distribute, study, change, and improve the software. That's what matters, making better software. And it's also the freedom to control your own computers instead of computing controlling you. But most of the time, it's also available gratis, free of charge. So the 4 essential freedoms, as defined by Richard Stallman, is to run the program for any purpose. Well, some software have restrictions, as they cannot be used for specific purposes. Like this software cannot be used for military, or for education, or for professional. So software, free software, open source software should be allowed to use for any purpose. The freedom to study how the program works and change it. So the source should be available. And that's the openness of the source, open source. The freedom to redistribute copies so you can help others. So that's the community spirit and the sharing spirit. And the freedom to distribute modified copies, or copies of your modified versions. So if you modify code, you should be allowed to redistribute these copies. Well, just a thought about free software, the society, and the liberty in general. In the past, information, knowledge used to be distributed on books. I think that's the oldest type of distribution of information, manuscripts and books. And then later newspapers, and then radio, and then later television. But all of these are one too many. That is, somebody is the author, and everybody else are the readers or the recipients of information. Today, with the era of computers and the internet and social media, it's many too many, that everybody is contributing to the creation of knowledge, okay? And this is due to software in general, but also due to free software, open source software. Software is ubiquitous in the sense that it's everywhere. Software is on your laptop, it's on your mobile phone, it's in your car, on your TV at home, it's everywhere. So is it controlling us, or do we control it? That's a big question to think about. I'm not going to elaborate on that, but this is something that we have to realize how important it is. Software is everywhere. Software might, or we might risk having it controlling us, controlling our lives. So with open source, with free software, we believe that we can better control it in a community environment. Well, software in the 21st century is equivalent to the steel in the 20th century. The most powerful regimes, governments, people in the 20th century were those who owned the steel, okay, in the revolutions that occurred in the past areas were revolved around those who owned the steel. Today, it's software. Software is controlling power in politics and economies. No wonder the wealthiest people and organizations on earth are in the software industry. In a famous book by Lawrence Lessig, Code, anybody have heard of this book? I believe that some of you might have read that book. Lessig said, code is law. Code is law means that code is going to possibly have the work of law. It's going to rule somehow. And it's happening around us in the Arab region. People with very small devices have been seen to be very powerful, okay? Just because they know how to use technology, how to use software. Free software in education. Well, coming from an educational background, we believe that education is a social mission to teach students to be citizens of a strong, capable, independent, and cooperating and free society. In that sense, we should refuse to teach dependency. Well, I think this is where we should start. Any national initiative on open source and free software should start from here, from the educational system. If we are to come with recommendations out of this conference on what to do next, I think one prime issue is to think about the educational system. Are we teaching our students to be dependent on a product, on a technology, or to be independent and use free and open source software? So this is something that we also have to think about. Free software permits students to learn how software works. And this is where innovation comes from. I thought somebody asked a very important question, stating that innovation is the most important thing in open source. And I think this is valid. We should also teach moral education in addition to basic facts and useful skills. Because also we know what's happening around us. People copy software for nothing. They think it's gratis, it's available, it's free. People copy licensed and valued software that has a cost. Well, if it has a cost, then you have to pay that cost. So we should educate our students, make sure that they understand the value of software. But we believe that they should use also free software instead, free in the terms of both gratis and freedom. For that purpose, I'm going to list few initiatives available in Europe. This one, free software in education or in academia. It's the Free Technology Academy. It's a virtual campus that it's a collaboration between 4 European universities in the Netherlands, and Spain, and Norway, which leads to an international master program in free software. Again, if we are to come with a recommendation, that's the second one. Out of this conference, I believe that we should probably think about if not a master program, but at least a program in free and open source software for the Arab region. This is just the layout of that master program. Another initiative in the United States is the MIT OpenCourseware. I'm sure that everybody is familiar with this one, but this is an extremely important and valuable resource as to the openness of not only the source of software, but also of courses, fully fledged courses, university courses available online. And some statistics about that is also here. I wanted to also show you the different flavors of or distributions of Linux available today online. Two of them that I know of are of Arab origin, Juba and what's that? Sibilia, I guess. But the rest, both of them are based on, one of them is based on Fedora, the other one is based on Ubuntu, but you know all the other good distributions available. But I brought some statistics just to show the latest statistics in March 2011 shows Linux at 5.1% on the desktop. But if you look back, you see it growing steadily but very, very slowly. But I've read reports that 2011 is probably the start of Linux on the desktop. Okay, we'll have to wait and see. But this somehow shows that. Is it going to peak? We don't know. On the server side, however, the statistics are completely different. On the server side, we have about 2 to 1. That is 2/3 of the servers on the internet, according to different sources, are Linux-based. So we have 63.7% from W3Techs, based on that's based on the units, number of units available on the web. Whereas if you look at the number of revenues, it's a little bit different. Other tools that you may want to explore, LibreOffice is an excellent productivity suite for the desktop that has become an independent foundation, the document foundation. It's the de facto for the Linux operating system. On the web browsing, the best two are also open source software. That's the Firefox and the Chrome. And they are leading the market as well. In March, last month, Firefox, the total number of, I mean, that's the estimated statistics on the, based on number of accesses on the internet, 42.2%, whereas Chrome is 25%. You can see the steep decline of the Internet Explorer. Learning management systems. I'm not going to elaborate on that, but this is the leading one is Moodle, but the rest are also still available and good. Content management systems, there's been some discussion that Drupal is one of the best ones. But yes, WordPress seems to be leading the content management system by far. That's 54.8% out of all content management systems available on the internet. But you can see that none, well, that means that 74.4% of all web pages or websites don't use a content management system. But out of those who use, WordPress is leading by 54.8%. Joomla is next, Drupal, and the rest. Other systems exist, like if you are to manage a library system, some good ones are Koha, Evergreen, and Greenstone. If you'd like to use graphics, also GIMP. And if you are in development, NetBeans. Databases, mathematics. On the mobile operating system, okay, lately Android, the Linux-based operating system for the mobile, has led the market with 33%. Okay, next to it is Symbian, 31%. They're both open source. Well, you can see that the Windows Mobile is down to 3% almost. Social media, well, everybody uses Twitter and Facebook, but these are really not open source products. But there are alternatives if you'd like to and are interested in exploring or installing your own social media network for your organization or your university. These are good tools to use. But there's a very, very long list on Wikipedia. There's a nice list of open source software packages on Wikipedia. In various different categories of finance, math, science, databases, CAD, etc. Licensing, when it comes to licensing software, if it's free, it doesn't mean that it's license free. It means that it has a license that gives you all the rights to use it in a certain, in all the freedoms you need. These are the various licenses that people are using today for the software, for free software, and a complete list is available on these URLs. I will not talk about these international campaigns that exist today, but I just wanted to drop them like that. The Free Software Foundation, the Free Software Pact, the Open Source Initiative, the GNU operating system, the campaign against ACTA, Defective by Design. So these are international campaigns that you may want to look at. But I wanted to highlight some of the high priority free software projects being highlighted today. And again, if I wanted to recommend a third recommendation out of this conference today, maybe we should come up and define Arab initiatives, okay, for free software, if we can do that. Do we need localization? Is that a high priority? Do we need Arabic documentation for well-known software? So maybe this should be discussed somewhere. One of the interesting projects, Miftah, which was supervised by UNESCO and the UNDP project as well. Miftah is a complete suite for novices, for people who'd like to use free and open source software, but don't like to just get rid of their own environment. Miftah looks like that. It's a complete suite of productivity tools for anything that you would like to do. It's available for download from our portal, mabar.org. If you'd like to have a copy, you can have it on a flash disk, boot it from the flash, or just launch it from the flash. Another interesting project also in the Arab region is the Arabic OpenCD, which is similar to the Miftah. It looks like that, the environment. So it gives you also the different suites, email, internet, desktop. But if we look at the Arab region, there's a lot of initiatives. Okay, there are hundreds. In each country, there's at least 3 or 4 or even more initiatives. But these are not interconnected. They're not very well organized. They're not very well funded. Okay, and they are not very well connected, unfortunately. So I would like just to browse through them in Egypt, in Jordan, in Kuwait, in Lebanon, in Dubai, in Morocco, in Palestine, in Oman, and even our initiative here in the NP-FOST that we are here today for. And also in Bahrain, in Jordan, again, Palestine, Tunis, and the rest. So all of these initiatives, again, some of them are active, others are less active, others are probably dormant, and others may have closed by now. We don't know. So what is our role? What is Mabar doing? Well, Mabar, the word comes from Markaz Al-Arabi Lidam Al-Barmajiyat, so the word Mabar is the acronym for that. Mabar is the Arab Support Center for Free and Open Source Software. It started about 2 years ago as a common project between UNDP, UNESCO, and the University of Balamand in Lebanon. We strive to disseminate free and open source software as a philosophy and culture, in academia primarily, but also in Arab societies. So we are committed to contributing to social and economic development. And by promoting basically 3 parallel tracks, awareness, training, and development. And I'll talk about these 3 tracks separately. So these are our goals, so awareness, training, and development are part of them. We have started conducting some surveys. We have started doing some training. We are continuously doing awareness sessions, but we have not started developing yet. So surveys. The purpose of the survey, or these surveys that we are conducting, is to understand Arab community needs for ICT and how free software would contribute to development in these communities. Understanding the level of awareness, we need to know what people know about software, about open source, and identifying the type of awareness needed in various locations of the Arab region. Determining priorities for FOSS training. Do they need training on OpenOffice or LibreOffice today? Do they need training on Linux? Do they need training on Java? So we need to understand what they really need in order to start these training sessions. Establishing priorities also for application and content development. And again, if I were to recommend another recommendation for this conference to come up with is to probably define certain priorities for development and probably seek funds for that. So we have not started the survey, but this survey is under development. It's called A Study on Free and Open Source Software in the Arab Region, Knowledge, Usage, and Needs. Okay, it is led by the Access to Knowledge for Development Center at the School of Business, American University in Cairo. It is funded by the Richard Bartlett Gift to that center. The team members are from, well, obviously the AUC in Egypt, Mabar, and also we have teams from Syria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Tunisia, and Morocco working on the development of this survey. We have drafted a questionnaire in 3 different languages. We are meeting in June in Cairo to finalize the workshop and set an action plan to implement this survey. Other objectives have been also defined. Provide an accurate description of the current situation, identify producers and contributors to FOSS, develop solutions or rely on FOSS development tools to produce applications of interest to the Arab communities. So we want to develop something that we really need instead of adapting our way of doing business to software that we normally download from the internet. Identify most promising parties to work with, priorities, projects, and niche markets. Identify existing and prospective consumers to FOSS. So these are part of the goals that we have set. So identify prospect sources of funding. That's also a priority for us. If we were to do development and serious development, we need funding. So that is also in the perspectives. Provide a vision for a long-term strategy with an implementation plan for national projects as well. I did a small pilot survey at our university, counting 70 university students, to see what they know about open source, about free software in general. And then I asked the question, do you know what free and open source software is? Well, I came up with 30% saying yes, 41% almost saying no, and then 28% they're not sure. When you install software, you are often asked to agree to license terms and conditions. Do you read these terms and conditions? And 30% said never. So they agree without reading the license. Well, I don't know. This is something also to think about. And then 54% said sometimes, but 15% said always. They always read the, which I think they're lying. I'm not sure if they're, I don't know. Do you use unlicensed copies of software? And look at the numbers here. We have 54% out of these 70 students said they use unlicensed copies of software. And they're proud of it, obviously. And 42% said no, they don't use it. And I don't know if that's a joke as well. Okay? And then 3%, the shy 3%, no, I don't want to answer that question. Don't talk to me about it. Okay? Would you consider using free and open source software instead of proprietary software? And we have 51% saying yes. But obviously they would need help and support. And then 39% said, we don't know if we want to use it or not. We need help in deciding. And these are very legitimate group, and that's a legitimate answer. Okay? And 9%, no, get off. We don't need it. We're happy with Microsoft. I mean, proprietary software. But the current status is not brilliant. And this is the situation in my country, the small country of Lebanon, where you can find all types of illegal, pirated, what we call pirated software on the streets, You can buy them for the cost of the CD itself, I assume, or just little margin of profit. So that's about, say, $2 per CD maybe. And you can see them on shopping carts on the streets, and people just, not only software, but also DVDs and all types of music and all that. That's the current situation, and this is an awareness issue, and this is that's also a law enforcement issue, but it's also awareness. We live in a community and people are not aware that this should not happen. I mean, kids buy it and they think they've bought something good and they've paid for it. Okay, well, that's bad. But recently we had the government cracking down on these in a showcase on the streets, burning them and just with the help of Microsoft and Oracle. They did that just to say, okay, in public, that's what we're doing. You should not use illegal copies of software. But at the same time, they've signed large amounts of contracts with the government and the educational institution for software. So the current status, apparent lack of FOSS activity and support, and that's why we are trying to change that status. The limiting factors of the existence of free software: non-government support or interest. Non-government support or interest, again, they've signed the contracts, no problem. No legislation, no clear legislation. I don't know about other Arab countries, but government don't have clear legislation regarding what type of software should be used. Internet connectivity problems, and we do have that in Lebanon. Language barriers, sometimes also, that could be a problem. Corruption, and that's probably the main problem. Well, contracts were signed, yes, but the computing, that's even worse. The computing curricula are largely based on Microsoft Windows and Microsoft Office. Nothing against Microsoft, but I mean, these are facts, and these are limiting factors to the use of free software. So we're doing awareness campaigns to raise the awareness of the potential and viability of open source solutions and applications. We're doing this in universities, colleges, secondary schools, primary schools, in research centers, in government agencies as well. We're doing this in NGOs and the society in general. So we do presentations and trainings for that purpose. On the training side, we're doing we haven't done awareness courses yet, but we plan to do that, awareness courses. But what we've done is basically last June, we've had in collaboration with LPI, the Linux Professional Institute, we held one Train the Trainer workshop on doing Linux tools at the University of Balamand, and we've had 22 trainees from 3 different Arab countries. And at the end of the workshop, we've had 3 basically LPIC 1 certified, that's Linux Professional Institute certification, level 1. And they've also become instructors. So, and today, this year in July, we are having a second. We've sent the first call, the training workshop at the American University of Science and Technology in Beirut. But we also plan to do more workshops around the region. As to application and content development, we have identified certain needs. Arabization is a need. Arabic language processing, there's a lot of needs there of development. Tools for local needs and documentation. So these are possibly the needs around the region. In academia and in curricula, we are encouraging universities and colleges, primary and secondary schools, to adapt curricula to make use of FOSS instead of proprietary software. We have created a large member community of, basically we have many partners, and we've created a community of several institutions in various Arab countries. We are collaborating with to achieve our goals. We cover basically the whole Arab region. I would like to wrap up with just a quote: in software, just like in education, if you give knowledge away freely, you will still have it for yourself to use. Thank you.